Hey everyone, welcome back to the TheSunnyside. I'm Sonny, and this video right here are the top 5 ways to develop your psychic abilities. Everybody cool? Top 5 ways to develop your psychic abilities. Now, for those who don't know or those who are new to the channel, just a quick little blah blah before we begin. I am a psychic astrologer here on YouTube, and if you want a personal reading, just check it out how to do that in the description box below. For those guys who don't know, I'm one of the guys who predicted that Donald Trump would win the 2016 election in the United States. I also predicted the coronavirus a while ago. And also, for fun, I predicted who's going to win the leading male in the Academy Awards, in the Oscars, a short while ago. That was really fun, too. And there are videos for all of that if you want to check it out. Anyways, before we get down to it, I just want to say one more thing. For those who don't know, we have a really cool app out here. It's called the TheSunnyside Astrology app, and there are a couple of different horoscope widgets on there if you want your horoscope from a couple of different perspectives. There's tarot stuff on there. There's also some compatibility stuff. There's a little numerology, and it's all for free. And all you got to do is, and there's a link for all of that in the description box below. So all you got to do is go down to the description box, hit the link, and download it for your iPhone or for your Android device. And that's the action. All right, now one more thing before we begin, just to let you guys know, there are a lot of, I wrote this down right here. There are a lot of psychics and tarot readers and astrologers, etc., who watch my videos, and because I do teach this stuff for you guys as well. And I'd love to hear if you've used any of these methods that I'm about to mention to you to develop your psychic abilities, and if there are any other methods that you've used on your own or through a group. And just leave them in the comments section below so that we can all see them and share our stories. And maybe I'll make another video for you guys with telling your stories and the ways that, your ideas for developing your psychic intuition. That'd be pretty cool. So just leave it in the comment section below. All right, next, obviously, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and share the video. All right, here we go. Everybody cool? Number 5. So, hey, guys, before we begin, are you sure you want to develop your psychic intuition? Once you open it up, you can't really turn it off. I mean, you can sort of turn it off, but the noise inside of your head, once you focus on certain things, once you dial into the clarity of the sounds, it's not something that's cool. Like, you're going to be like, it's going to be a difficult experience. Like, it takes a while to get used to all of the, fine tuning and calibrating everything. I don't know if you want. Okay, whatever. You're obviously here because you want to do it. Here we go. Number 5. 5. Numero cat. Cinq. Cinco. Whatever, man. The very first thing you have to do if you want to increase your psychic intuition or your psychic abilities, whatever your psychic abilities are, you absolutely must lose the ego. Very sincerely, that's the number one thing you have to do. And I see it all the time. I'm watching these videos on YouTube about these tarot readers. They're saying Trump is going to get this or Trump is going to get that, and it's the dumbest thing. And these things they're not coming true. Or like I see some people, they give reading, when you're watching someone give a reading, they're like, oh, you don't let a guy treat you like that. You should get rid of that guy, or you should do this, or you should do this, or you should do that. That's like, what voices are you really listening to? Are you listening to some kind of TV in your head? Are you listening to your mother in your head? Are you listening to an ex-boyfriend yell at you, or your priest yell at you? Like, the very first thing you have to do is lose the ego. Often we hear things, or our intuition presents us with ideas that we don't really want to hear. The world does not always agree with you. Actually, the world almost never agrees with you. And when you're psychic, it's a difficult experience because you're hearing all of these things that conflict with your core belief. So it's very important to be able to filter out what is really you and what is your spirit guide, or the tarot cards, or the astrology, or the chicken bones, or like the crystals, or like the scents, or the I Ching, whatever it is that you're using, or your empathy, like whatever is going on, your vibe, your aura, whatever methods that you're using right there and then, you have to separate between what they're saying and what's really coming from you. It's the number one thing. Lose the ego. There's leave your personal bias alone and just hear the story, hear what's going on, do it, and just take it all the time. And so the number one thing you have to do if you want to be psychic, or to increase your psychic intuition, or be more accurate with your psychic readings, is you have to know who you are. So you're standing there and, study your own language. You might be standing there and say, blah, 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 blah. And you'll be like, what did I just say, man? I don't use words like that. That's not my vocabulary. Or like, where did that come from? I wouldn't say anything like that. What's this? I believe this. Why would I say that? Or see, you're standing there and you're channeling something and you're using it, and you can tell the difference because you would say things in a certain way and the ideas and phrases that you're channeling are usually different. And so, because you're channeling something or something else, a higher spirit or an entity or a spirit guide or your interpretation of something. And so you have to the very first thing is to understand yourself and lose the ego. It was the number one thing that when I became a professional psychic astrologer, professional tarot reader, that my sister said to me, I was starting out and she said, don't try and do this, don't read into it, don't read it, just tell them what you see. That's it. Just tell them what you see. And it's really that simple, and that's the first thing. I'll give you one more story, because this video is from my life. The next video I make is going to be from your stories. But for those who don't know, I'm a master level hypnotherapist, and the channel actually became popular at the beginning because of my hypnosis meditations, my hypnotherapy meditations, and there are a couple of them that are quite popular. And I've written a book for hypnotherapists, and I used to teach this stuff. I used to teach deep trance psychic hypnotherapy, and I used to use it in my workshops all the time. It's a lot of fun. So anyways, one of the things we do in hypnotherapy, or we don't do, is we don't use the person's name. You're not supposed to use the person's name because you don't know what on a subconscious level they call themselves. You could be there in trance talking to the person's subconscious and be like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And the guy's like, who are you talking to, man? Like, what's going on? And so it's important. So once again, the number one thing is to lose the ego, stop projecting. You don't know. The truth is you don't know. So the only thing you do know is yourself. So maintain and that's going to help you down the road as well. You're not going to lose yourself. You're not going to get sick to the stomach. A lot of people, when they start to increase their psychic intuition, they get sick to the stomach. We're going to talk about this one in the next point here. They get sick to the stomach. They get they get pimples, rashes and stuff. So just watch out. All right, next. Obvious. Okay, we get it, Sonny. Lose the ego. Blah, blah, blah. You know what my ego's saying right now, Sonny? Oh, yeah, okay, whatever, man. All right, next. Number 4. The absolute number 4. Now we're going to go really to more important things. That's the obvious one, right? Next is you have to get your body ready. Right, you have to get your body. So one of the things you're going to want to do is raise your vibration. Not at the beginning, because like I said, if you raise so when you raise your vibration, you're going to get sick. And so like one of the best ways to raise your vibrations is to do the Tibetan Rites. And for those who don't know about the Tibetan Rites, there's a video on it here on my channel. It's like the number one way to raise your vibrations. You do have to open your chakras. You can do it through meditation. We'll talk about that in a second. But one of the best ways to get your body ready for this intuition is to go for a walk. The Tibetan Rites will raise your vibration, but you're not ready to raise your vibration. So go for a walk, clear your mind, clear the nonsense, and get the body ready to receive information. Because seriously, just like knowing yourself, you have to know yourself physically. You have to know, so when you're like, what voice am I listening to? What's going on here? You're going to need to know if you actually have a gut reaction to something, or you have some kind of reaction, a physical reaction, or if you're hungry, Right? There's a difference. Or like if you have indigestion because you ate too much for lunch, or your stomach is sick or something, you're gonna need to know if there's a difference between having a sick stomach, or you raise your vibration too quickly and your body's become detached from whatever, from your spiritual self, and so you're sick. So you got to know these things. You got to know if like I'm feeling an itch. There's some kind of itch on my hand, or if you're like or if you like have a rash because like you didn't use toilet paper to wipe your idiot ass. Like seriously. So you have to in addition to knowing yourself, you have to know your body. In addition to knowing your body, you have to prepare your body. And one of the best ways is to go for a walk. You don't have to be some exercise buff. You don't have to be a fitness freak, but you do have to be able to handle the information as it arrives physically. Your mind, body, and soul have to align in one voice, one life, one gift. Mind, body, and soul all aligned as one. And if it's not aligned, you're going to have a disjointed, you're not going to have a clear vision of what's happening. And as such, we all know that could lead to some bad stuff. Okay, so got it? So number 5, lose the ego. Number 4, prepare the body to receive the information. The first thing you do, go for a walk, stretch, maybe relax, maybe relax. And when you're ready, start something like the Tibetan Rites. And the Tibetan Rite involves breathing as well. It's not the same as going to the gym. You might not want to go lift a lot of weights, or you might not want to go for a jog and burn yourself out. You want clarity. You don't want to be burnt out. You want to raise your vibration, not burn yourself. And you not fill your body with lactate acid. Okay, so, all right, that's the 4th thing. 3rd, this one is really important. So even if you don't lose the ego and you stay in lousy shape, you don't exercise, you don't walk the body, you don't do any of that stuff, the next thing you're going to have to do, number 3, is you're going to have to quiet the mind. This is probably the most important step, or else you're not even going to hear it. A lot of being psychic is distinguishing between external voices and internal voices, and the body has tons and tons of internal voices. Back when I was a hypnotherapist, you're talking to so many different voices going. You're juggling all of these ideas and things that are happening at once, and what the person thinks they want, and between what they want, it's so much their needs and desires, and they think, they feel, and feel they think. It's a lot to it, and you have to quiet all the noise. And so I'll give you an example. Sometimes people use a lot of meditation to quiet the noise, and that's what it does. When you put yourself into a meditative state, which is a heightened state of deepened relaxation. If anybody's ever listened to any of my meditations, you'll hear me say all the time, it's a heightened state of deepened relaxation where you focus the mind to the absolute exclusion of everything else. That's the action. And so one of the ways we do it is meditation, and you don't have to focus on one thing consciously. It's not a conscious meditation. It's not focus. It's a state. You have to change. You're changing. When you meditate, it's not about focusing on one thing, not on a conscious level. You have to bypass the critical conscious mind, and you do that by entering into this trance-like state. And one of the ways you do it, or the way that I was trained to do it, is using hypnosis, because I studied hypnosis, hypnotherapy, stage hypnotism, deep trance, psychic hypnosis. So anyways, I did it for years and years and years. Anyways, so what quiets the mind? Meditation quiets the mind. That's a big one. You go for a walk to quiet your mind, right? So that gets the body and the soul back in at it again. What else? People close their eyes. Sometimes closing the eyes quiets the mind, but you don't necessarily have to close the eyes to do it. Back in the old clinic in Toronto, when I used to work in the as a hypnotherapist at the Pacific Wellness Institute, it's on the 11th floor on Bloor Street, Bloor and Bay, and we look at the whole city, man. These giant windows. So you'd have the client would keep their eyes open and stare out the window and trance out. And so that was the way we used to do it, or the way I used to do it anyway. So you don't necessarily have to have quiet sound or anything. You can overload the senses. One of my hypnotic inductions at the time was to overload the senses as opposed to making everything dark and quieting everything. So there are different ways to do it. Anyways, you want to quiet the mind. Another thing that people use to quiet the mind is a crystal ball. Like, I know it sounds hokey, but that's what they use. If you stare into a crystal ball, it's very easy to enter into a meditative state. And that's the deal. So some people close their eyes, some people use crystal balls, some people use chanting. So, chanting, music. Some people use music. Some people use dance, movement. The idea is so if you use chanting and music, those kind of things, or dance, or drums, that's going to overload the senses. So to quiet the mind, or to focus the mind, I should rather say, let's change number 3 to focus the mind. To focus the mind, there are 2 ways to do it. You can quiet everything, or you can overload your senses. Those are the 2 different ways to do it. But the key is to enter into that heightened state of focused concentration, where it's like you can see everything in the room with your eyes closed. And back then when I was a hypnotherapist, that was a really big deal. So that it's like your senses are so heightened, you can see everything in the room with your eyes closed. And you will just stand there and you will start saying things that the person behind you is thinking. You'll just start writing things that the other person says. You're like, why am I even saying these things, man? That's what's going to happen. That's when you do that. That means your psychic intuition, it's turning up. It's not just intuition. This is your psychic abilities. All right, lose the ego. Get your ass in shape. Get your lazy ass out for a walk. Focus the mind. Next, number two. Listen to the world around you and pay attention to the details. It's very important to pay attention to the details. Pay attention. You're going to see a lot of being psychic. You're supposed to lose the ego, right? You're supposed to lose what you know, and use what you don't know, And one of the ways to do it, but you can't just walk stupid through this entire thing. You can't just be like, the energy, man. What are we like? We're not creating woo. This is not about being a woo psychic. Woo. I got a hit. Well, maybe you shouldn't have picked the soap up in the shower, player, and you wouldn't have got that hit. Just saying. Okay, whatever, Sonny. So here's the deal. Let's talk about channeling, right? So here's the deal. You can't walk through this situation like a numpty. You have to, so you gotta use a bit of brains throughout the situation. I can smell something outside is changing. Can you smell the weather changing? Can you see the leaves turn a little bit? Why are the leaves turning? Why are those birds flying away? What negative energy is going on around you? Watch the behavior of pets, the conversations around you. Pay attention to changes in moods. I'll give you a story. I've told this story all the time. I'll tell it again, if you guys are new to the channel. I used to drive a friend of mine home all the time in Vancouver. And every time we crossed the bridge, and we had a great relationship. We used to laugh all the time and stuff. We just laugh and blah, 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 like we were work buddies. And so every time we crossed the bridge, going from North Vancouver to downtown, and gotta live by the beach, right? And so every time we crossed this one particular point, something would arrive, something would come up in the conversation that would cause a bit of discord. Whether it was an accidental turn of phrase or a word that would cause some kind of argument or some kind of question or some kind of conflict. And whether it was just the two of us or there were more people in the car, if I was driving some more people across the bridge. And this one particular spot, something would always happen. And I remember one day, when you're psychic, you pay attention to these things. You're just like earlier on, why would I say that? That's not something to say. What's going on? Why did she think that? I didn't mean that. How can you not know this? Or Well, you know, why? What is this? Do I have a stomach ache? Why am I? Why is my arm going like this? Why am I so like? Why is? What's going on with the pimples, man? So you got to think about it. And we were driving across one time, and she turns to me and says, "Hey, Sonny, why are you so quiet all of a sudden? You know, you're a chatty. You go blah blah blah. You sit there and talk to yourself constantly. Why are you so quiet all of a sudden?" And I'm like, because every time we cross this point right here, we start to argue. And I don't know what the deal is. By the time we're 20, 30 meters down the road, we've stopped. But right here, there's always conflict. And so it's driving through a pocket of negative energy that is right there. And it's real. And I explained it to her. And so I explained it to her. That's what it means. Listen to the world around you. Listen to yourself. Listen, find where these pockets are. There are other places where you stand and suddenly you just feel really good about yourself. And it's more than that. There are some people you're around that'll draw this negative. You just got this negative vibe, and you're like, what's your problem, man? Or like some other people that are always putting people in a good mood. And you don't have to agree with each other or anything. This is just the way the energy plays out. So that's what I mean. When you're jogging along and you're like do 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 do, and suddenly something catches your eye, and you're like, what? That's something with the picture is wrong. You know, it's the picture, your intuition, your third eye, this life that you're going through. Something is funky bananas with it, either on a positive way. Why am I smiling, man? There was another time when I was a hypnotherapist in Toronto. I had like 3 back-to-back sessions. And then I'm like, that's a lot of hypnotherapy, man. That's a lot of trance work. And then I'm walking home, you know, I'm walking through the annex, and I'm like la 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 la, and I stop at the corner, you know, the lights there, and I'm like la la, and I'm like, yo, check yourself before you wreck yourself, Sonny. Why you la 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 la? You're a double Scorpio. You're not a la 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 guy. What is going on in your brains? And I realized, I'm like, you know what? I just did a shit ton of hypnosis, man. I'm la 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 la. My voices are completely quieted in my. I'm like la 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 la. And so, you got to watch yourself. You know, listen to the world around you, and that's number 2. You know, why is that dog barking? Why did that bird just shit on my car? You know, what kind of, like, why are all these people suddenly walking towards me? Like, what's going on here? You know, pay attention to the world around you. Here we go. And the number 1 way. And remember, everybody's different. So these are my stories. This is the way that I use to increase my psychic intuition. You know, and once again, you might not want to do this. You know, when you increase your psychic intuition, it's a scary situation. You're looking at someone, and you're like, this guy is, this is a false friend. Or like, this person is about to bullshit me. Or like, this is, which is like, or you're going to be like, hey, that chick really likes me. That chick is digging my vibe, man. Or that guy's doing that. But there's another thing. Just like we said, up until this point right now, you could be standing there and you could be like, hey, that chick is digging my vibe. When in reality, she's not digging your vibe, but you are in some kind of feel-good energy, not because of her. That could be like, hey, man, I like that painting. That painting really resonates with me. Or, hey, I like the color of that wall. Some kind of thing here. Or I like that song, or I like that smell, or I like this. You could be inside this pocket of energy feeling like pretty good, and because you don't know yourself, you don't know the scene, or you didn't shift the ego, you didn't find, hey man, she's not really into you. She's just wondering why you being so weird. And so she's being polite. So you got to watch the action, man. You don't necessarily. So be cool on either way the pendulum swings. All right, everybody, that's the number, to increase your psychic intuition, you got to be cool. And finally, the number 1 thing you got to do is trust your intuition. Trust yourself. If you know yourself, if you know your mind, body, and soul, if you trust yourself, if you know yourself, you can trust yourself. Lose the roadmap. Be very careful what other people say, back in Vancouver, I used to teach a psychic intuition class, and I realized that everybody's from different backgrounds. Not everybody is from like where I'm from. And like we're dealing with people from different parts of the world with different cultures and different backgrounds, and a bigger appreciation of what was going on here. So it's your roadmap. Be very careful about what other people say. Not because they're trying to be negative or influence you or control you or like what they want your soul or your spirit or anything. Not because of anything like that. It's like maybe, but not necessarily. You have to trust your intuition. It's your intuition. It's your life. It's your gift. That's the number one thing. Trust your intuition. And I don't know how many, it's countless times in my life my intuition has saved me. I'm in a situation and I'm like, Sonny, you have to leave right now. And I just boogie out. Or like, Sonny, I know this is going to be a painful situation, but you absolutely have to knock on that door and talk to those people. Or you absolutely have to walk through that situation. You absolutely have to do this no matter how much it hurts, no matter how much you're afraid, no matter what anybody else says. You have to do this. Trust your intuition. That's the number one thing. I'll tell you guys, to become a Freemason, I had to do a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't expect to do. I thought, I just do this, it'd be easy. That's not how it works. You have to actually go knock on the freaking door, man. And so there's a lot of stuff you got to do. So remember, once again, the number one thing is trust your intuition. So lose the roadmap. Be careful what others say. It's your intuition. It's your gift. Now, I didn't say anything today about doing drugs. I don't necessarily believe in doing drugs to increase your psychic intuition. I don't necessarily agree with that because I don't really have that problem. My intuition is on overdrive. I don't know my intuition, but my psychic, how I avail myself to my psychic way of doing things is on overdrive, overload. I do horoscopes and astrology and tarot all day long for you guys, so I'm wide open. I do it the other direction. Was all this too much information coming in? And so, but if you believe in that, then leave it in the description box. Tell me about your, like if you do ayahuasca, tell me about ayahuasca. If you think sticking needles in your body, if you think pain is the way to increase your psychic abilities, by all means tell us the stories about that in the description box. If you think green juice is the way, if you think a cleanse is the way to do it, by all means do that. If you think starving yourself is the way to do it, do that. If you think of like pigging out, if you think lots of sex, whatever it is that you think, or whatever your journey is, illuminated in your path, please share it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. And that's the action, guys, from the sunny side anyways. The 5 ways we do it. Lose the ego, number 5. Number 4, take your ass for a walk. Then later on, use the Tibetan Rites to increase your vibration. Not yet. You will get sick. Don't do that right away. 3, focus the mind. You can either quiet the mind or you can like overload your senses. 2, listen to the world around you. Obviously, pay attention, seriously. And the number 1 deal is to trust your intuition. Believe in yourself. It's your gift. Trust it. And that's the action, guys. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Just take a moment and go subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the live stream. Lots of live streams here where I read your horoscopes and stuff. If you want a personal reading, check it out in the description box. Please download the app. All right, download the app. It's for free, and that's the action. And comment, leave your comments in the description in the comment section. From TheSunnyside.net, I'm Sonny, wishing everyone the absolute best of a super beautiful day, and I'll see you guys soon.